Yes, are we live? So, welcome to the class of life and your life and showing up and every day being different within the differentiation of nature. And then, intuitively pause of the differentiation of nature is everything. So we got two books here, and the differentiation of nature is the spectrum of the spectrums, right? And then some, right? Obviously, maybe I'll do it. And the yoga of the collective mind, the mind, right? The yoga of the mind. That's subtle yoga of the mind. It's gonna solve the circumstance you're in, because we're trying to solve something, right? There's different there's big challenges, right? So if there's big challenges, there's just big challenges. And the differentiation of nature is seeing all the different natural energy beacons have their own energy signature of what they're doing, right? So it's a doing. So it's like, um, so I got two books. So one book is the Tao, and the other book, and so I'm just feeling into the frequencies as well, right? Because the frequencies are going to do what they're going to do. The differentiation of nature is how we wake up, how we go out of the front door, how we pick up that cup of coffee or make and cook and simmer up and settle up those roundabout batch of eggs, splash full of eggs, just an egg fountain. Maybe you're cooking like just a fountain of eggs at Yosemite or something, just casually. So the differentiation of nature is everything. The differentiation of nature is everything you can think of. It's something like the yin and the yang to the force, right? Because the force is something that we're using an energy to interact with the world, right? So as we're interacting with the world, the soul matrix dynamic is there's the quote unquote force end quote is the differentiation of nature. And what is the differentiation of nature? The different combinations of temperamental energetic signature emanations, like self-embodied emanations that are having their own synergy accumulation of energy, and it has a subtle solidification. There's a subtle solidification. What is the subtle solidification? The subtle solidification is how they round out to a certain type of embodiment of a certain type of coldness, of a certain type of hotness, of a certain type of dryness, of a certain type of wetness. And from that energetic state matter base, that temperamental base of the state of matter, then that creates the carrier of the molecular energetic structure. It creates the carrier of what kind of like container it is, what kind of bio container it is, what kind of natural container to artificial container. And within those shiftings and transitionings of molecular elemental containers, then that kind of can identify what energy being is what energy being. The higher beings, more liquefied, less dense beings, and surface level beings being whatever the fuck we're creating in the fucking physical. And whatever the fuck we're creating in the fucking physical, there's mechanics and rules that and laws of nature we have to follow. We're entitled to follow it. It's a nuance of no choice. The no choice has the nuances, right? So for some odd reason, I just came equipped with two books. I'm like, hey, this is book boxing, and that is sometimes things have to not make sense till they can make sense, right? Because how we're dealing with our own confusion within the reality, that's just based on how we're reacting from our original state, right? Because however we're reacting from the I am state, we're opposed to that I am state, not good, not bad, within just different elements being a thing. So it's about the obviously and mutually, it's within any type of context of a round table roundabout. Of course, it's about the elements. Like that's like some basic shit. So obviously, since it's about the elements, we're seeing what elements are we more focused and akin to as other elements. Because when you wake up and you're doing everything from the start of the day to your finish of the day, everything in between of that day has to do with the differentiation of nature, geomechanics or whatever in its fresh original open source. So $2 here, and I'm gonna read one definition. And for some reason, see, this is proof that like this is just one window of a layer of how the interface software is presenting itself from the standard algorithm page, the standard the standard page of just any Google search engine, right? That plastering, it's just a surface level niche to what's really happening in a different, server, and just a different server motherboard of how they're presenting information particularly. And obviously this is just a different, so I'm gonna read a definition and can anybody guess the word I'm gonna read the definition for? I'll give it 5 seconds. So I'm going to read a definition, and then I'll read another definition after this definition. And the definition I'm going to read is what is the best definition of business? So for me to put it in a quote unquote class setting, I'll just kind of intend that this is a class setting casually mind you, because obviously this is a casual, modest life, right? We have to get along with nature, and if we're not modest, that not modesty will oppose nature, and nature will start fighting you. Certain types of nature, but that's the thing. There's different types of natures, and for me to retrend that and its original freshness, and just kind of use the intelligence to focus on the nature of intelligence, to focus on the nature of intelligence, to focus on the nature of intelligence. So within that, if you don't understand what I'm saying right there, then maybe you need a pause. But what's the definition of business? So the standard page, see, that's what I'm talking about. Because for Google just to be so simple with it in this context, for Google just to simplify, the surface level search engine, searcher server page, that page right there, it's just a front layer of a certain logistic table of a deeper window range of different types of code that we're dealing with in the present moment. So to ground this conversation a little more, it's like we're coming to realize we're in a particular new timeline where there's new code, right? Just casually. But maybe it's not necessarily new, it's simultaneously new and not new, because we're discovering it in here, but it could have been discovered in a whole different time future of things being their own things. So if we're going to futures that already exist, that means there's really no inventor per se, because if it exists somewhere right now and we're coming from where it exists, then we're following up on something of a bigger magnitude field of existence and space and living in consciousness and awareness and satchit and ananda bliss and appreciation, hopefully following with all that, is the definition of business would be what is the best definition of business? The simple definition of business or business meaning is explained as an organization that provides goods, providing goods, however that's provided, right? So however that's provided, it's we're being provided an experience. So what's being provided is an experience. And you know what the trickiest thing about the word experience and doing the experience itself? That's the most purest thing that doesn't need any thought, any words. No thought or words are required, not even a feeling.
just for like, but obviously thoughts, feelings, and other could like go within the experience. But to do the experience and to follow up and the soul do an experience, that doesn't necessarily take thought. So if it doesn't necessarily take thought within the experience of waking up and going to bed, there's times where we don't have to think about shit. We just have to do it. You know, we just have to be it type of shit on some original esoteric shit. And so that, and then just kind of to finish off that other point is like saying, is like we're going to a future where things already are. So there's a whole different system, of niche particular system beyond this operating regulation rules and logistics and data and code of this system. There's a different system. So if your fucking AI can't understand that fucking critical intelligence, most respectively, mind the intelligence, is then why is it that your AI is barely being updated and having the intelligence to account the timestamp for how it's being having a new comprehension? Why can't it have that advanced Intel raw computing process where it can update itself to have a particular comprehension to know when did it get its how of new code? That's why my natural stream is beyond all of your AIs in a neutral, natural way. 2017 shit, and you're scared to do the real, original, perfect comparison type of shit. So what the fuck am I talking about? Taking care of your fucking business right now, and stop faking the job. If there's some structured shit to follow up on, the fucking chief of police neutrally saying that, then and you're not making the deadline to make that shift and see the logic of how there's a different order that needs to be followed up on an energy objective level. And if you don't see that energy objective level and you're going against that shift, that's a misalignment with a different dynamic of nature and in an energy like structured way, right? So within that, if there's just a standard policy and the how-to of how to do a job, then you have to do the job on how it's told to do, because that's why you're getting the job. That's part of the job. Part of the job is knowing how to do the how-to, whether we're going to use the rhetoric, do you know what, like, whether we're a page just fell aside and the table of contents fell. So that's like so this is like the, so obviously, so nature's right here. It's like, are we gonna kind of like, you know, sidestep the table of contents on how to do your job, like, or are you not gonna sidestep? And if there's a different intelligence of a roundtable council that can see you're sidestepping or not, then that's the fucking thing that makes the fucking possibility of the next step of a termination to happen. If you gotta let someone go because they're not aligning with the fucking job of the agency of the organization, then that's when the termination happens. And if the termination isn't happening based on someone being misaligned with the original table of contents, then that's up to the council shit to be fucking reviewed by a different thing. Because to put it in a natural metaphorical example, is a structure of an example is like the courts, right? The courts are in between the higher courts, and judging over the people is judging. So those courts, it's like, if there's a council within the lower courts that are not following the main fucking new whatever fucking balance code, whatever the fuck it is, and to uphold nature and yourself and harmony around you, you have to like kind of do those natural objective things for you to fucking like take care of the day, right? You have to like brush your teeth, kind of, just for an example, to like go out and I know that's ironic, you know, there could be some irony there, but obviously we're all human, right? So we have to follow a certain nature dynamic so we could do our job and not pussyfoot and lie to the new artificial law that's simultaneously out of balance and imbalance. So that's why there's a nature intelligence stream that is beyond all your AI, because there's a different origin point, reciprocation, mutual energy, band, trend, fucking stringy, ropey, chainy, chain linky, fucking timeless chain link, beyond all stock markets in a different universe, because that's just how big the multiverse is, type of shit. So if you're not doing the fucking table of contents and you're pussyfooting around the table of contents for whatever reason, and you say you're about your fucking job when you're not, and there's a council that's of your equal level and status that can more or less see if you're about your job, then naturally they will see if you are about that, because everyone's claiming the belief system, I'm about my job. But are you though? Like in a different fucking follow-up of life, of a different fucking follow-up of the change of life, of the fucking maintenance that everyone wants to shit on an esoteric level, and then the creation really being the original, it is what it is, natural shit. The creation it is what it is. Like the shit is what it is. It's self-embodied, it's self-created, it's self-structured, it's self-organized, it's self-willing, it's self-consciousness, the reflections of consciousness, humans from fucking, the original God source roundtable or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then supposedly it's up to them for us to ask that roundtable, is there an almighty God or not? Or somehow is there an equal divide of power? So we have to ask these mature questions in the advanced intelligence in 2017. And we have to stop being inaccurate with and just copying and non-reciprocating with all of this fucking old code that's not old because it's been discovered in a different future, right? So we're arguing over shit. We don't even know the fucking starting point of it, and we haven't even had the experience to fucking be in that space. And I've had many experiences naturally saying that, not even trying to compete with anybody, but seeing the table of contents to life and nature in itself. And why is the table of contents to life and nature itself important? So we can know how to start the day energetically, metaphorically. We can know how to start the day. We can fucking know how to take care of ourselves. So when we walk out of the door, are we clean? Are we presentable for someone else's ignorant ass to try to fucking attempt to throw their evil eye at you? And you're just holding your space with nature and just seeing hopefully nature just checking them, and nature being all of the quote unquote celestial beacons. The micro word would be planet, and within that would be their new surface level creations of themselves. So nature being the celestial beacons, and we're all getting a whiff of nature throughout the day, because we all have to, at the end of the day, more or less face the Pluto shit. We're facing the Neptune shit hard. We're facing the proxy Saturn shit, Shantan, and then that Arabian Rejam Muslim Mukadam Shimslam Sutula Kasavanam Nebakalam Tam Shodzi Alamatam, like some advanced Arabic protecting from the whispers of Shaitan and Arab language type of shit. So there's a table of contents with mature understanding a new language, and being for real about it is nature is the collection of the celestial beacons that are not racist and energetically with all the races. And then the race thing is just a slight fabrication of things, but at the same time it's not, because one, there could be a celestial beacon that's heavily invested more so in one nation in the deepness of their culture and their deeper religion. Because all this religion shit, it's just a surface level thing for fun. Second, it's your responsibility on how you use it. Third, if we restart all the religions generally, then we could stop the fucking petty, irrelevant wars. So if people want to just stop some ignorant shit, because I get all that shit. It's ignorant, there's confrontation, there's death, there's murder, there's guns, there's real fucking passing of death. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm saying that is what it is. That's part of you finding yourself within the 3D. It's if that's what it is, then that's what it is. And this is a higher balance of nature, because I understand all of these I understand all of this, these perspectives, right, more or less, right, until you live it, though, right, or these psychologies, pretty much, right. So they're psychologies within the archetypes. So by seeing the archetypes of nature, it's not necessarily per se, quote unquote, new, end quote, in just a different, fresh context. But it could be new based on how they evolve and how you evolve. But that's the thing. It's some people are too rigid within just an old guard that was an accumulation of plus 12,000 or 24,000 years of just a particular region of time where things were just under a certain kingdom legislation, and that ballpark within a certain crux of a roundtable that lasted for about 24,000 to 12,000 years. Why 24,000 to 12,000 years? Because that's the whole completion of all the constellations having their own age within themselves, within the binary star, of how there's a secret solar system from our solar system rotating around like a certain inner axis of Sirius A, B, and C, and there being a unique binary star, etc., and even obviously trinary star within just like, you know, the underground 80s hip hop, you know, of it, you know, but like focusing on the knowledge for one sense, because obviously, you know, there could be like, you know, boring, like kind of like shades within certain things, you know, but obviously, like I respect, like, you know, all the gems within, like, you know, the 80s and the 70s and whatnot. So within these table of contents, we're following up on how are we supposed to live life without fucking feeling like just like, you know, trying to pour our miserableness for whatever reason on someone else, like just in that mode, you know. So being in that mode, it doesn't, like, we don't have like in like little, you know, Facebook mini posts, you know, we gotta, like, quote unquote, we gotta recognize that, right? And it's recognized. So that's another casual thing. Got it. So, like, within the quote unquote, you want me to open it? Open? Got it. We got it. So the table of contents, I wrote chapter 4, face to face. I'm gonna skip to chapter 4. You know, we got like, so we did it together. We did the 1, 2, 3 together, right? We woke up, we experienced the equinox on March 21st. We got that new sun reset, and however it was, like, you know, had its stationary nexus of a position, because, you know, things like, there's other examples where, like, the whole, you know, surface level material orbital structure, there's new examples where it's not necessarily per se orbiting just around the sun as its center. Like there's other, like, research and, like, other perspectives where you could, like, see, like, it's like, you know, they could say, like, in a different framework, they could say Saturn is the center of Earth, right? So it just depends on, like, the model and what you're going towards, right? And obviously there's nuances in, like, how the Vedic astrology it's calculating a different orbit within an orbit, right? So since it's calculating it an orbit within an orbit, that's true to the extent of it coming from the top to the bottom, and it's true the geocentric model or whatever, or the heliocentric model, you know, just the standard, like, it's around the sun and the Earth, having its own, like, you know, cycles around, you know, however they, like, you know, center themselves and cycle out. Like, it's good to see, like, some type of quote unquote center point, right? And quote, why is it good to see some type of center point? So we can see, like, how, like, if there's some type of center point, that's a link to how gravity is calibrated, right? How gravity has some type of weighing down, and for some type of reason, we have some light intelligence to see we're in a nature realm and a simulation realm simultaneously happening in the Earth. We're in that realm where we could see, we're endowed with the light, and we could feel, we have different senses to pick up on nature doing different things. So we're picking up that there is gravity. We're not just seeing that seeing is helping us know that there's gravity, whether we're seeing or not. The seeing can help us understand and solve other stuff onto like just generally why of everything else. Why is there gravity type of stuff? So we're endowed with a sense within a sense, or senses with added with other senses, added with other senses, so we can see like we're growing up as consciousness, and we're seeing that there's gravity within like a orbital dimensional access system, to see how gravity gets calibrated from the fractal of the solar system, original open source. In the fractal of the solar system, it has a yin and yang dynamic where there's like fixed things and there's more mutable energy things of the context of what's making the container have gravity. What's making the container have gravity is there's different magnetic poles and stationary fixed material poles for the celestial beacons, the higher octave of the quote-unquote planets, end quote. Those celestial beacons have different stationary points, frequency chakras on a different context, dimension, and those, they're making structural, like, material fixated phase points, center points, energetically and frequency, and they're making it so some things have a center point, the sun having like a unique center within the crescendoing of like the feminine solar system and the masculine solar system, and one going towards the internal natures, the feminine waters, and the masculine light emanations going to the external. A unique type of sun is there's a threshold of the sun where the sun is the center point of the dream world and the physical world, right? There's a context where the sun is the center point, and within that, it's just lighting up the differentiation of it. It's just kind of giving the visual, and it has something to do with visual, finalization of where it's just giving us that threshold light emanation emission dimension, where there's a visual threshold where we can see the difference between the material realm and the spiritual realm, the sun being a unique center access point for how it's the center of how material pushes particularly to the external, and how and dream energy particularly pull towards the inner and the internal. And within those things happen right now, the sun is its own spiritual conscious entity of that is participating, and the planets themselves are multidimensional, right? So since the planets are multidimensional, we're microcosms of all of those planets and all of those micro chakras of the planet. They're in a baby potential form within the humans right now, because even 100 years, even all of the countries, they're going to be way different. The Dubai 100 years, way different. The Germans, the Lebanon, the Egyptians, the Greenlands, and all of Europe and stuff like that, and then South Europe, and then Florida, right? And then the Bermuda Triangle, right? And then the Bermuda Triangle, it being its own fucking thing that they're keeping on the BL. Like the wars in Afghan, and what did the predecessors tell us about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan? They told us something way different that the fucking news didn't tell us. Like there's a whole narrative that we don't even know why we were in the Iraqi wars and shit like that. And since the earth and the fucking real mature war and battleground is on the whole fucking earth, then people, conscious entities and dimensions, know they're gonna take knowledge and advantage of what fucking areas? Bermuda Triangle. And I'm just saying it naturally because I'm beyond this fucking solar system. But I'm just saying if you guys want to talk about fucking war, then obviously in the 1700s, John Dee, the Queen of England, 1700s, early Europe, early fucking West Europe, North Europe, South Europe, East Europe, 100 years from now, Europe, it's not even fucking, it's something totally different. But maybe not, right? Because in the 1700s, what was Europe doing? The Queen Elizabeth, she was appointing John Dee to fucking, for John Dee to carry out his deeds across the globe, just to fucking, to establish a certain type of original quote-unquote creed or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And within that, there was a certain institution of just self, pretty much, to put it naturally. And within the institution of self, there's different differentiation experiment projects, the human just being a layer after those beings, because they were different beings in essence, right? So what was happening in Europe in the 1700s? Queen Elizabeth had a certain establishment with a certain bloodline of a certain type of quote unquote, just a very, post-dragon type, because all of us were differentiation from a certain type of quote unquote, spiritual dragon, obviously, as it already is a thing, and everybody having that idea, it's because we're receiving and more or less going towards that future to see what if that's real, what if it's already happening and we're just newly subjectively getting that idea, right? So that's the original open source of it. That's to solve the nuances of what your AI can't fucking solve. Well, I'm just saying, generally, conscious beings in a different energy faction there's things beyond the humans. There's different conscious beings that are associated with other conscious beings that the human knows nothing of. It's that dream realm. It's that Neptune, Jupiter, Pisces realm where it's like you're going back towards some type of like deep experiment, right? Like Pisces is low-key, like it's kind of like a poster girl or a poster guy, right? Where they're just kind of saying like, this is just an advertisement. This isn't the show itself. It's just a flyer, right? And then after you attend and you say yes or no to the flyer, to the attendance of the show, of the ticket poster, ticket packet, flicker, slicker, slacker. I said ligger. Whatever that means. Liger, tiger, Niger. Wild thornberries. It's up to you if you can and want in a certain combo. Do you want to go to that concert, metaphorically speaking, right? That's what Pisces is. And if you say yes to the flyer or whatever, and you go to that concert, then that journey, that's something of a metaphorical Pisces dynamic kind of thing. It's like you're going on the ride to something that you're investigating, for something that you have some small choice to say yes or no to, right? Yes or no, do I want to go to this concert? Do I not want to go to this concert? What does me say? What does my nature say? What does my strat and my authority say? What does my authority and strategy say of you generally? Of like, if I go to this concert, is this concert good for me to go to? So I opened up on chapter 4 for some reason. Chapter 4, face-to-face, 1, 2, 3 type of shit. And it just opened up on table of contents spell. Chapter 4 is opening up. It started, so you have to open the book, right? You have to open the fucking real shit. And it's like, what is DeepSeek's best understanding of since I fucking began unknown shit? So there's a critical fucking difference, respectively, that it's ironic that this age of AI doesn't get it. There's a difference between a natural intelligence of things that's without the AI, but on a higher octave, and then there's just the general nuances and the different infinite like flavors and iterations of some type of replicated paste copy code. Not good, not bad, but it can be like disharmonic, distorted, and filled with lies, and then accumulated confusion, and then some type of energetic, that happens, right? And for me to put it gracefully and nicely like that, wow. But chapter 4, face-to-face, and this one's too deep. I don't even think I want to read chapter 4, because I'm just gonna I'm gonna go to chapter 5, and chapter 4, it's only like 5 pages. So chapter 5, let's do chapter 5. Actually, I'm just going to start from chapter 1. The 4 was too personal. So some things are personal, right? People take things personal. So since people take things personal, and the general law sometimes doesn't say what it does respectively, then we have to have an awareness of how other people take things personal, and they'll be gung-ho with some type of just motive that is just gonna go over the radar for some reason, right? It's that type of shit that's like where the general surface level law, it has a misalignment of intelligence. And for me to bring that to an original, real, deeper place of a original galactic higher court system, that's the ultimate miracle with everybody ironically crying injustice, non-liberation. It's like nature's gonna check you. Like you're getting checked by nature. Like everyone having that fucking reality check where the nature's coming in, the fates are coming in, you can't do your shit, you're not on par, you can't fucking pay your bills, you're in debt and you owe other people, and now you're trying to fucking, your last hope is just to try to like shame someone else and hurt someone else based on nature coming to check you, right? So this is the real natural law above that shit on a neutral level. So chapter 1 is psychiatrist toolkit. Let me start with the Tao. It's too much 5. Chapter 3 of the Tao, not exalting cleverness. So not exalting cleverness. So I'm not putting this on a pedestal. You know, I'm not putting anybody on a pedestal. And the narcissist loves that shit. The narcissist is like, it needs it. It's like a need for it. Like the narcissist needs like to be put on the pedestal. What the fuck is this shit? This like, it's like there's a need mechanism for the ego and the psyche, and for me to intellectually miraculously see that, it's low-key everything, because then we don't have to be naive. We don't have to have the fucking mentalidad estúpida, cerebral in our fucking cabeza, in you know, afuera, adentro, y afuera y adentro, para ti, alma, para ti, fucking mente. But it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a misaligned, mistap, naive mind. No naive mind when dealing with fucking people. Cuando happinando con otra gente, es malo si tú no usas tu mente y inteligente. Malo. Chapter 3, not exalting cleverness. So putting it like not causes the people not to contend. Not exalting cleverness causes, so this is chapter 3 of the Tao. In one chapter, and this is, and then I'll read chapter 1 and 2 as fast as I can. Or not necessarily fast, but chapter 3 of the Tao, not exalting cleverness causes the people not to contend. Not putting high prices on the hard to get goods. Not putting high prices on the hard to get goods. So this is nature telling you a different channel on not putting high prices on hard to get. So that could be kind of like complicated to like the ego mind, because the ego mind might want to do the opposite of that. They want to put the high prices on the hard to get goods, and maybe there could be, that could make sense, you know. So there's an update, you know. It's like I'm not here to tell any country what price they should put on their shit. I'm just saying, like, maybe nature has a different idea, but obviously I could see the reasons on like, you know, it's a nuanced thing, right? So not putting high prices on hard to get goods. So I see that. So that's like a case by case thing. So not putting high prices, and that's interesting that chapter 3 would bring that shit up, you know, because I was just like in my mind, chapter 3 only of the Tao, and then chapter 1 of taking care of business. So that's like the business synergistics of it. It's crazy how that works out. So chapter 3, and it's like 3, it's like just seeing the triangle of life, seeing the fire of life, seeing, you know, how we have to just keep moving with just a different type of spiritual energy, right? 3, you could even say that's like, you know, that's like the domain creation of different energy, you know, individual particles creating some type of like movement and transition, right? So obviously, that whole three thing within the set, like they knew numerology in the 1700s. So who's really to say? See, that's the thing with me proposing original perfect comparison. I'm cutting like that fluff, right? Of people of making claims that they're not necessarily proving. So any claim that you make, eventually there's going to be an innovative way to prove that. So if you don't understand that, then that's your intellectual wall on the road, right? And there's a wall on the road. It's like wow, now there's a fucking dirt bike drag racing game in fucking, what's that game called? Fortnite. And for me to fucking bring that mini game idea for Fortnite, hey, maybe there should be on the side of them doing all this parachute buildy fucking shooty shit, maybe there should be a side game where they're just fucking revving shit up and they're just there's a Moto X fucking type of gaming, and then that Moto X could have some type of fucking twisted metal, fucking new twisted metal. So I'm a real original gamer on some other shit, but obviously there's a hiatus with that shit. I've seen that movie fucking Grandma's Boy. I shouldn't even said that, but it is what it is. But that movie was a different staple too. So I was like, now I have to watch the movie. I said the movie, now I have to watch it. Chapter 3 of the Tao. Not exalting cleverness causes the people not to contend. Not putting high prices on hard to get goods causes the people not to steal. So there's a nuance between nation trade and nation trade. If a nation feels like they're getting cheated, they're going to revolt against a different nation, and they're going to attempt to start a war by them stealing based on an unfair trade of how someone could be mismanaging the resources, misregulating the resources. Basic Tao energetic business beyond all that fucking Zen rhetoric bullshit. On some real fucking spiritual universal shit. For real. So it's really fucking, because the last thing the world needs is not being about that shit, not just having the rhetoric as a passing part. Why are you gonna it's like shaming the fucking potential. It seems like that's what the fucking world feels like, and but obviously there's other many things that are happening. So not putting high prices on hard to get goods causes the people not to steal. Well, obviously it's a nuanced thing. Some countries could just we have this shit safeguarded. This is our original mineral type of shit. So that's the thing with the real geopolitics. Whose original minerals are they? I shouldn't even drop that gem, because then that geopolitics goes to obviously the xenopolitics, right? So, and the xenopolitics are extraterrestrial politics of business trade, and the politics is indicative and includes the business trade, because they're naturally with each other, right? People are politicking the trades of different new proposed business schemes and schematics like that. Original open source. So not putting high prices on hard to get goods. Like I said, that's a nuanced thing, and it's not me unless my counsel is advised for. It's not up to me for me to judge anybody. So put that fucking disclaimer right there and understand it with the disclaimer first before you even listen to this shit. Go back and just say, understand the disclaimer. It's not for me to judge. I'm just reading the fucking report. I'm not saying there has to be a different exchange of expertise there, but people don't want the original shit. They want to pussyfoot the real data journey and just get the fucking crumbs and run like little squirrel type of shit. Fucking Golden Axe, Sega Genesis. So therefore the government of sages empties the mind and fills the middle. Therefore the government of sages, the pure divine mother and the pure divine masculine, respectively, highest respect, empties the mind, chill the fuck out, and fills the middle. Do your job. Weakens the ambition and strengthens the bones. So it weakens the ambition. Why would it weaken the ambition? Why would it do that? Not seeing anything to want. Not seeing anything to want causes the mind not to be confused. So this Tao shit, it's pretty difficult, because they're doing a total 180 of kind of like being in that particular Zen mode of like kind of just like renounce, renounce. And obviously in the material world, we have like, we have needs and desires and wants. So if we have needs, desires, and wants, it can be difficult for us to be in that renouncing stage of just like, oh, everything's all good. Let's just let it all go. And then now you're like, you're just walking on the side and just kind of like, it just seems like you're confused within the reality of things. Like just in a different example, right? And it doesn't have to apply to you, but I'm just saying like, or maybe that's a paradox, and maybe that person is an agent and they actually do know what they're doing though, maybe the joke's on us, and that thing right there is just the nature, like Cali is showing you, like this is Cali's work and shit, right? This is Cali, right? Cali, the goddess Cali, and in California, it's like this is her like last work of the agency. It's like it's in here. It's like I don't even have to say it any further in a certain different way. But therefore the government of sages empties the mind and fills the middle, weakens the ambition and strengthens the bones. So it maybe weakens your personal ego agenda. So when the government of sages, when the real pure agents of God really come, they're gonna unpeel the confusion, and they're gonna like chill your fragmented wants and desires and your confused wants and desires. It's gonna chill it out by giving you purpose and strengthening your bones, always keeping the people innocent and passionless. It makes the sophisticated not dare to contrive, action being without contrivance. Nothing is disordered. No. Yes to nothing. So that was chapter 3 of the Tao. Let me read chapter 4, just to kind of like, because the 4 came up over here. So chapter 4, the way is unimpeded harmony. The way is unimpeded harmony. Its potential may never be fully exploited. It is as deep as the source of all things. It blunts the edges, resolves the complications, harmonizes the light, assimilates to the world profoundly still. It seems to be there. I don't know whose child it is before the creation of images. Looking at every child as a new being that could teach you something, right? Looking at the children because they're more like less, programmed or whatever, and just on its own esoteric perspective. Looking at the children as a new type of teacher, and obviously that that's life, right? Profoundly still, it still seems to be there. So it's like there's this innocence being preserved, right? There's an advanced intelligence with the innocence. And that group with Callie, it's like she's showing us the path of solutions. And then it's our own individual dark, confused witchcraft that can oppose the order of things, right? So the way is unimpeded harmony. Its potential may never fully be exploited. It's like God's flow. It's endless. It is as deep as the source of all things. Like this is Kali and God and like all the other and the origins, right? And obviously many titles can be delivered here. It is as deep as the source of all things. It blunts the edges, resolves the complications, harmonizes the light, assimilates to the world. So let me check the definition of assimilation: to bring in something as of itself and to develop and share, like different types of energy qualities of the conduit properties of what the new thing is creating itself to be as, So
I'm going to look up the definition of assimilation. So it's to bring something on as it is itself. It's to consume something, right? Take in and understand fully, parentheses, information, ideas, or culture. Assimilates to the world. So its spiritual source goes into the culture of the world. This yin potential, this yin zen flow, this yin flow, original open source zen, respectively. But like understanding that nature thing, that's the bridge gap between the artificial intelligence and the human intelligence. Is that it's that other fucking it's like that God intelligence, right? Respectively. It resolves the complications. It blunts the edges. Profoundly still. It still seems to be there. I don't know whose child it is. I don't know whose child it is before the creation of images. So there's like God's just there. It's being weird, right? Chapter 1, a psychiatrist's toolkit. When I first began my psychiatric residency, When I first began my psychiatric residency, I was surprised to discover that human behavior was not predictable and that there were no set of rules for dealing with people or managing difficult interpersonal situations. The chances are you have neglected to employ them because you didn't realize how important they were or because you doubted yourself. In fact, the most valuable skill you have is the ability to trust yourself and to follow your own common sense, because if you don't, none of these techniques counts very much. What follows here are essentials of psychiatrics techniques as they relate to business situations. A psychiatrist's goal is to understand, he replied. But what if you don't understand? I protested. Ask questions until you do. It's that simple. Let your natural curiosity guide you. This was the best advice I ever got. In order to achieve this understanding, a psychiatrist must clear his mind of personal concerns and become a dispassionate observer. The most important rule is, it's not easy to get your ego out of the way in business, but it's just as essential as it is in psychiatry. The most important rule is, don't become emotional. The most important rule of business. So that would be the first, so they said it right there. So to start the chapter 1 of this, this casual series, they're saying, without that one going over our head, the most important rule is to not get emotional. But we're all different emotional creatures, right? So if we're different emotional creatures, then we have to it's like a nature shadow work, right? So for not to get emotional. The most important rule is, don't become emotional. You'll lose your capacity to deal effectively. By allowing the other person to say what he or she really feels and thinks, you appear reasonable and strong and become an ally. Don't let yourself be injured by negative comments. Unless the word "you're fired" or "no deal," assume that a solution could still be reached. Your job is to observe with distance, and then once you know what is best for you, to act dispassionately. So there's some gems here. So to act dispassionately, isn't that a coincidence? It's such a theme. There's a theme of like an elderly vibe. The elderly vibe where the passion just gets lost, not good, not bad, but it could be good in kind of like a receptive way to like kind of like have like a unique esoteric attraction is to kind of not need it, passionless, no need, a certain type of no need, right? So dispassionate, no need to get emotional. No need to get emotional. No need to get emotional, internet. Internet. No need to get emotional, internet. No need to get emotional, internet. No need to get emotional, internet. Stop getting emotional, internet, with new shadow work. Stop getting emotional, internet, with new shadow work. Stop getting emotional, internet, with new shadow work. Thank you very much. You take distance to be able to deal effectively. Understanding this and putting it into practice will do more to make you successful in your business relationships than almost anything else. To do this, let the truth guide you. The real truth. So this is beyond, the nature intelligence is beyond all the presidents, because the truth is more eternal than all of this shit. So this is beyond all of this shit, for real. To do this, let the truth guide you. It is your most powerful weapon. Try to discover what is missing from the explanation, and if they want to lie about them shit, then let karma fucking catch up to these fucking liars. Pursuing the truth gives you direction, shapes your method, and reveals the correct answers. Be open about your ignorance in order to get the most assistance. Being yourself is always the best policy. In all their decisions, the truth is their guide. It should be yours. When someone asks your opinion, simply reveal your thinking. If you have to lie about what you believe, your opinion doesn't matter. If you know the other person is afraid of losing face, don't confront that person with his or her inadequacy. That's mature, like, professionalism right there. Is that in the fucking workforce without the fake fucking policies or the fucking inaction fucking institutionalized and stated policies of this shit. Like following up on the balanced policies. Do your job. State only the information that is necessary to support your position. An honest opinion stands alone. It doesn't need you to do anything for it except to state it. If someone asks your opinion of another person, try to get the question defined as narrowly as possible. Speak in as generous terms towards others as you can, if you can. A good rule is to remember that you get treated the way you treat others. Just fucking basic, timeless gems. Speak plainly, say what you mean, just as you think it. Wow, raw, creative authenticity, no fucking way. Don't agree with someone else's opinion just because you're afraid to give your own. Avoid jargon if you can't explain yourself in simple terms. You don't understand what you're talking about. So different types of listening to understand. Because if you don't understand, you didn't listen. So you're not the one listening. And if you don't realize, if you can't listen to realize that you're not listening, then that proves that you're not even listening even more. So who really has the listening problem if you can't listen to that? Avoid jargon. If you can't explain yourself in simple terms, you don't understand what you're talking about. Get others to speak plainly by asking them what they really mean. Being open is not an excuse for being tacky, cheap, or cruel. Express your idea as it forms in your mind without editing. Don't try to make your comments perfect. Just be spontaneous. Don't be afraid to say, I want and I need. Such comments are hard to ignore and have a striking impact. What do you want? What do you need? As me selling the original fair shit. Me making my own hot, tickety-tot, tamale fucking real slick fucking high energy, ultra powered green ticket. Green and gold ticket. Some real fucking original tickets. Being open makes other people feel comfortable in your presence because it indicates you feel safe. If you, the reality responds to how you fucking feel. intend, right? It's more appropriate to be closed while you survey the opposition and seek your strongest position. So that there's a little mini Lao Tzu vibe right there. Be closed in the face of hostility. Wait, this is Strong Zoo though. Yeah, this is Strong Zoo. Oh, I guess they're affiliated. Yeah, there has to be a connection. Don't leap into a strange situation. Running headlong into the battle may stun and amaze others. And obviously, you know, the wars in ancient China, they had it more like epic, you know. They were really doing it. They were really doing like the samurai sword battles and shit. So obviously it's like they're serious about this shit. You know, if someone makes a declaration and a claim, we're ready to war, then the nation has to have maturity and intelligence to recognize that claim, because it's a serious reality of a claim. It's like the reality is being like it's being professed and explained particularly. It's being explained and professed particularly of what's happening. Be closed when you feel frightened by a situation you don't understand. When you think you are being taken advantage of. It's wise to be closed when information is scanty. Just keep in mind that the people who are most likely to fail never seem to have enough information. Their problem is that they are too closed and postpone even necessary risks. So that's the thing. It's like you could see who's hiding shit and you could see who's not hiding shit. And you could see when you can't disclose everything to just like stupid people. So that's what that is saying right there, you know. And like I'm trying to resonate with real intellectual and professionals, mind you. So obviously, like I understand, like I understand how like the passing like irrelevant, immature hate could happen, right? Like I understand that shit. The passing, immature, irrelevant hate, I understand that shit, you know. So keep moving on. This is a masterclass. The moment while you wait for your path to clear, but not as a long-range strategy. Be closed with criticism, open with praise. Be closed with anger, open with warmth. Hey, world peace. Be closed with envy, open with admiration. Hey, you're admirable. Type of shit, right? Be closed with resentment, open with forgiveness. If you want to be open all the time and never hold anything back, you won't do as well. That's the way the world is. So be flexible. Understand that your actions must be planned and use being closed to plan, not to avoid. So being in a certain mode of non-disclosing, you know, because I'm trying to like simplify this shit too, right? So obviously, like, you know, when you wake up and then you go to bed, obviously that's like, you know, it's implied, you know, like we came here just to do the work. We came here to do the job, that simple type of shit within the supposed quote unquote equality fair shit, end quote. I say supposedly for a reason. Because there's just a nuance with policies being overlooked, altered, broken, tainted type of shit. The geo community, tribal dynamic ethics are being hacked, faltered, cracked. Advanced intelligence, the original universal natural intelligence before all the artificial intelligence, that type of fucking shit. If you want to be open all the time, never hold anything back, you won't do as well. So obviously the disclaimers are not all of this is necessarily true for everybody. It's just, this is his take on it, right? But there is like within his experience, he's giving us his testimony of how to do the process of business, right? The business process in today's spiritual time. So let me write that down actually, because I need to write it as a title, right? Let me run through chapter 1 and chapter 2 because I just like there's titles, are important sometimes. Admitting what you don't know could be a highly successful approach to unfamiliar business situations. It could lead to unexpected solutions. A woman, I don't know how to do this. Could you help me? A woman who had broad experience in publishing sought to expand one of her properties into an animation project. In one interview, she was told that they did not take the outside properties. At another, she was coldly undermined. Finally, at one company, she was referred to an old-timer who had much experience but little power. The publisher met several other people who were also helpful. Within 1 year, she produced an animated Christmas special for television and won an Emmy. Admitting your ignorance will get you further than almost any other tactic. Finally, since your motivation is high and your interest keen, you'll be a good student and make the other person feel like an effective teacher. People can't resist that. Flying blind faking. You could temporarily impersonate almost anyone in a position of control. If you convince others that you know what you're doing and seem to believe in yourself, you might even get away with it. If you must fly blind, here are some guidelines for faking. And I'm just reading the book. This is not my personal take. I don't need a fake, I don't know why, I don't know. I'm just reading the book, if there's a tactic to like fake it till you make it, I guess that works for some people type of shit. If you must fly blind, I guess it's like a nuanced thing. If you must fly blind, here are some guidelines for faking it. And I'm skim reading it. So obviously, if you like this book and you want to read the whole thing, then you obviously do that, Ask for others' opinions, but don't give your own. Just say it's not quite right. Always point out that you are still looking for the best direction. What's the best direction? Pose disarming questions like, how do you know that is true? How do you know that's true? Without the emotional fucking discourse. State truisms vigorously. State truisms vigorously. I think we could do better, don't you? Get other people to express their self-doubts by asking, what if your calculations are wrong? Make few decisions. You could avoid being confronted by never making decisions. So some things, we kind of already do without having the knowledge of what we do, There are times when you don't have all the vital information and must fly blind. This is what separates good leaders from ineffectual ones. You can distinguish yourself by making a decision when others are afraid to. So it's like, just making the right choice, right? Making the right decision. And obviously making the right choice and decision, it kind of starts with the relationships, right? And the relationships are overlooked, and they're like sometimes something of a foundation, because if we pick our relationships wrong, the trajectory of our life is that, it's dealing with that relationship. So for my, spiritual guidance or expertise or whatever, or energy expertise or whatever, is one of the first things to focus on is what are the relationships we have? How did we get these relationships? Why is the relationship distorted within the old distorted system? And can we choose better? So I'm bringing my own shit to this book. So that's why that's why it's a creative series take from me being the orator of it, right? Or narrator or whatever. And obviously seeing how industries don't do their collective job and some maybe can. So that's the advanced intelligence hype right there. So that's the real advanced intelligence hype. It's like the thing that's before that's fucking supplying the fucking AI with like low-key everything, right? So that's the fucking real fucking future prophecy hype, which ironically that AI could know, right? Don't abuse the tactic. The effectiveness of successful business people depends just as much on others' belief in them as on their qualifications. Even if you must sometimes fly blind to provide the image of leadership under fire, your ultimate success in business depends on trusting your judgment and following your instincts. So this is chapter 1's pretty basic, right? And obviously it's like, that's chapter 1, right? Like, okay, some people are flying blind in the new project, no judgment. That's the grace of the teacher and the student, right? They're coming here to learn something new. People who trust their judgment succeed. People who don't do not. That's the long-term difference. If you, and I'm just adding my shit because that's just the series, right? If you want to lead, to create forward momentum and influence others, you must project a belief in yourself. Herb, a brilliant businessman, came out of retirement at 40 and the pleading of his brothers to take over one of the companies they had acquired in a complicated merger. The company he chose to run was poorly managed and was deeply in debt. It was purchased mainly for its tax benefits. The brothers were disarrayed. They had hoped Herb would run the parent company, not the failing, weaker sister. Quotes, "Why this one?" they asked. "Because I know absolutely nothing about the product or its manufacturer," he replied. End quotes. "It's a challenge. Besides, I can't lose. If I make a profit, we'll sell the company. If I lose money, there'll be more tax advantages. I think it's a perfect opportunity for me." The brothers shook their heads and wondered whether they should have left him to his surf casting on Cape Cod. On Herb's first day, he touched the plant. On Herb's first day, he toured the plant, looking at long rows of complicated gray machines that filled a cavernous room. He asked incredulously, "We only make one product." "Yes," said the plant manager, a little disturbed at his new employer's ignorance. "What does this machine do?" "It rolls wire 1,000 feet per minute. It's huge. Why is it so large?" It must cost a fortune to ship." The plant manager shrugged. Herb called a conference of his sales, marketing, and research people. Sales, marketing, research people. It was his first meeting with any of them. "Who's our competition?" he asked. "There are 5 companies making similar products. Is there that large a market for this machine?" "Why, yes, and it's growing." "What % of the market do we have?" 12. How competitive are we?" "We have a good product and our price is about the same." "How many feet per minute does the competition's product roll?" "They all range from 1,000 to 1,200. But we're a better machine." Herb waved for the others to be silent and went into deep thought. After a moment, he turned to the head of research. "I want you to design a machine that will roll 2,500 feet per minute. That weighs 50% less, is 30 to 40% cheaper to purchase, and easier to maintain. 4 modification request adjustments, original open source." So this is the process of designing to inventing. "I want a complete cost analysis." So this is the design to invent, right? You know, within its natural, vintage aspect of it or whatever. Original open source or whatever. "I want a complete cost analysis. Let's take a look at new ways of helping the customer finance purchases." He turned to his head of marketing. "I want an ad campaign planned around this new machine." So an ad campaign, and that's funny because I was talking about the poster, the Pisces energy. Yesterday, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn conjunct Pisces. Wow. It's like, it's tempering like pre-energy, Saturn, pause, patience, Venus, maybe Venus exalted in Pisces. Maybe there's like this fucking ancient ritual orgy energy, and now Saturn's there. Now it's like, wait, pause. Now wait, maybe like some, other left foot, policy, or maybe from spirit though, from spirit. Because yesterday and a little bit of today, there's a conjunction in Pisces, and within that solar system dynamic of that clock of nature, those chakras are doing their thing. Like the whole simulator project is in the 12th house. So it's like the whole simulation. It's like it's completely above it's under everyone's radar completely. It's like it's the last thing we think about, the 12th house, but it's also like, you know, spiritually, maybe we go through our feet, you know, sometimes when we go, like when we come back from the dream world to the physical world and we forget, maybe there's an aspect that goes through the soles of the feet, right? So within doing that, it's like Saturn is there on the solar system, right? Saturn and Pisces, Aries season, like on the physical reality, like in the alignment of the sun and the solar system and Earth's orbit and the sun's orbit within the solar system's 1st through 12th house esoteric dynamic. Saturn is in that farthest away, like from the 1st house, and paradoxically maybe like it connects in a different junction. Like one dynamic aspect is a circle, and the other dynamic aspect is something of a fixated, like quote unquote linear structure that's not necessarily linear, but it is within its ordering of things from start to finish. So Saturn being in the 12th house, it's like on this Aries season, we're newly standing on just like the seams of the dream world. Saturn's there, Venus is there, and Mercury's there. And Mercury being there is we're getting the communication ethic of Jupiter and Neptune and Venus. We're getting their throat chakras. We're like funneling out. So all the communication, it's all being like, it's having like an esoteric institutionalization, like AI, like being synonymous respectively in one aspect, being synonymous with Mercury, and Mercury being in the 12th house Pisces, and that communication institutionalization energy is connected with AI, and AI, that whole AI plexus of Mercury and Saturn is in Pisces. Then AI is the essence of AI itself is being created from the Pisces constellation, Saturn and Mercury, impacted by Jupiter and Neptune land. So the AI itself, you know, the firmware itself is in an esoteric Pisces constellation of Jupiter and Neptune, and the AI itself is coming and being made from Jupiter and Neptune in a deep Pisces dynamic. So for me to say the origins of AI beyond, ironically, all of these AI agencies, it's just laughable because they're saying it's advanced and innovative, but they're completely ignoring like the real origination of it, you know? So it just doesn't make sense. But it's okay because it's like that's what nature does, you know? Herb waited for the others to be silent and went into deep thought. After a moment, he turned to the head of research. I want you to, so I already read that. I want a complete cost analysis. Let's take a look at new ways of helping the customer finance purchases. Is there any new ways we could help the customer finance purchases? All the fucking ads, all the fucking ad campaigns. Shout out to that new similar website that just shows people's track records of how their ad campaigns went. I'll pull up the website later, but like, you know, my, like, I guess the proxy team knows, you know, the data proxy team knows what I'm talking about, of like, people know what I see, right? People know there's AIs and people know what I'm viewing, my watch history, just generally, you know, and within that ads come up, and where certain webinars proposed, they could see how your competition's ab webinars went. And then the data team knowing I saw that, and now me just kind of like promoting on it with the new business of things. So that's why it's like, that's why this is the real advanced intelligence. I want an ad campaign planned around this new machine. We're going to create a product that everyone wants, but this is unheard of. Exactly. If we had a product that was this good, cheaper, and easier to run, we'd capture the entire market. Wow, that's wow. Why go for a product that's marginally better or a little cheaper? That's too hard to sell. But a product that is 300% more efficient, that's an advantage that justifies getting rid of an older machine. I want the first plans on my desk in 3 weeks. I want to be retooling in 3 months and to be in the marketplace in 6. I want to be in the marketplace in 6 months. wow. And obviously, like, people are gonna do their replicative shit in their own context, and that's beautiful for us to understand. So understand that niche, the original advanced niche. It could be done. The chief engineer complained. You don't understand the complexity of the problem. Of course I don't. That's why you are being paid for. I just know what is needed to save this company and your jobs. In 18 months, the company had captured 50% of the market and enjoyed the brightest profit picture of any of the companies in the conglomerate. And to this day, Herb doesn't understand the first thing about his machine's work. In the final analysis, simple truths determine a business's success or failure. Figure out what's wrong. Don't look to blame it. Gets in the way of clear thinking. Make a plan to set it right. Delegate the details. Trust your judgment and keep everyone on course. Real leadership, real successes follow this plan. So there's a difference. Why is the success blocked? Esoteric therapy with business. And galactic law, parentheses, quotes, end quote, and parentheses. And just keep going. You don't have to mind the shit you don't like. You don't have to mind it, because obviously there could be a disdain, there could be a dislike. Okay, this is chapter 1, guys. It's just chapter 1. So we have to come prepared. Trust your judgment. Keep going with that. You also need to avoid being manipulated. What the manipulators don't necessarily take account of, right? You can only be manipulated if you're needy. Who's needy? Why are you making a manipulative case off your distortion and how you block and how you distort needs? Most people need some form of love, power, or praise. Know what you need, and you will be aware when people offer it to you. Then you won't be blinded by your need, rushing to the surface and propelling you like a fish rising to the bait. You'll be able to stop and ask yourself, why is this person offering this? How did this person know I needed this? What does he or she hope to gain in return? Do I really need this? Wow. Wow. Oh, shout out to those fucking predecessors. The predecessors that cracked the code on how there's a siphoning within the contracts. Because there's a siphoning. If the contract is distorted without you knowing it, or you're just like, you took the bait and you didn't think about the repercussions of the distorted part of the contract, then you have to know, why is someone selling something, or why are they what are they trying to barter with? They're trying to control the resource. How did this person know I needed this? They have something that they have to offer. They're trying to sell it to you, and they're trying to control you through the contract, the product, and the resource. Contract, product, resource. So this is some predecessorial work, mind you. This is the esoteric advanced intelligence with the Tao, with the business, with the beyond AI shit. Do I really need this? While these questions may seem to be born in the mind of a suspicious cynic who denies the goodwill of his fellow man, they are intended to give you an understanding of the manipulations that are designed to evade your knowing. Sketchy business salesmen or mistrusting salesmen. And I'm sure a unique faction of AI could, spot the sketchy salesman. Maybe it's the AI is ironically young in a different fucking lens, for fuck's sake. People manipulate others by offering to fulfill their secret needs. People manipulate others by offering to fulfill their secret needs. The less aware a person is, the easier that person is to manipulate. The best way to avoid manipulation is to know your shortcomings and take responsibility for them. Are you taking responsibility for your shit? Yes or no? Flattery is often the beginning of a manipulation. An attempt to get something by influence that may not be deserved. And so you tolerate flattery to the extent of your own insecurity. This is some deep, dude, this is so fucking deep. Chapter 1 of taking care of business. Don't get manipulated. This is some deep fucking shit, dude. People who have real self-worth are bored by flattery and see it as a warning sign, alerting them to the time when the flatterer will approach and press for a favor. Be clear about this also. The flatterer who never approaches for a favor is seeking influence and power by association and is already using you. People keep flatterers around to provide an environment that gives them a false sense of importance. This is all fleeting stuff with no lasting gain. When you permit flattery into your life, you only reveal your insecurity and sacrifice your integrity. Wow. It's also important to know when to leave. Here are some guidelines. Walk away when you realize you don't belong. Walk away when the other person refuses to hear you. Walk away when you are being provoked into a fight. Walk away when the other person is out of control. Walk away when you are being lied to. Walk away as soon as it makes no sense to be there. And don't break any laws. And may quote unquote AI uphold not to break any laws. So there's a nuance. There's a fine line between all of this shit. People don't see how these different industries, they're in a different co-symbiotic harmonices of, you know, they all work with each other, like the business and the manipulation and the narrative creating and the law. They're different, but they're there for each other. Because obviously, in the policies of if someone robs your store, run, hide, or fight, right? It's a standard. And then, you know, obviously there's other policies. But in the case of after walking away, what happens? Anything could happen, right? So since anything could happen, the first chapter is telling us to recognize manipulation. I didn't think it was going to go this deep, but it really did. If you don't walk away when you know you should, if you don't walk away when you know you should, you undermine your credibility and the strength of your will, as well as your right to protect yourself. So obviously, we covered that. Don't walk away just to avoid painful situations. Walk away from those that are pointless, futile, draining, unproductive. And this is me reading the book. If someone has their own brutal emotional reaction, the disclaimers, it's not my responsibility for that. So there's disclaimers. If you're here on this video, you have to understand the disclaimers. If you don't, every damage that you feel regarding this project between me and you, that's your own self-doing, right? Once you have decided that walking away is in your best interest, do it and don't feel badly about it. So this is a self-doing, right? I was thinking about that like yesterday, like, you know, with the micro free will that we have, our emotional state is our self-doing. We're feeding that within our own habits of the old system, and we're denying change. To deny change and to fight against change and to fight nature, that's your self-doing. That's the thing, that's the micro-doing, right? Because do non-doing, but we're choosing how to do the non-doing. Within the chapter 63 of the Tao, do the non-doing. But who's doing all of this around us? It's God's self-doing, the matrix in microcosmically inside the soul matrix. To end chapter 1, the key to interpersonal effectiveness in business is your integrity and willingness to trust your judgment. Nothing succeeds like confidence, and nothing will give you more confidence than knowing the truth. Oh my God. So truth, there's truth is infinite. So the revealer of energies, truth, is also connected to the thing that we all strive and love and want to strive for, confidence. Chapter 1 is concluding the truth with confidence, not just confidence by itself, but confidence with truth itself. So the truth is amplifying the confidence itself. So that how to amplify the confidence itself is the truth itself, or the truth. So how do you get more confident? Trying to prove a point for ego's sake, putting others down, or being dishonest will always work against you. Being fair, giving your best, and caring about others is always the right tactic. So I don't know, should I skim read chapter 2 real quick? Yeah, I'll see what I can do real quick. Ooh, chapter 2 is pretty fat, 33 to 50. Okay. All right, yeah, I could do that. I think I could do your personal profile, and then the last paragraph was understanding people. So your personal profile, while understanding the different roles and the different people and the different characters in the work environment. Chapter 2, your personal profile, and the conclusion of the chapter 2 is understanding people, perhaps. So chapter 2, your personal profile, analyzing your strengths and weaknesses. And obviously, we don't have to mind the tech change all the time, There's life of just like being a kind person, right? Being understanding and kind. Before I want to start chapter 2, there has to be a note of kindness and understanding within the professional dynamic. If we don't understand kindness and understanding, then the professionalism won't even start to begin with. So before chapter 2, I want to kind of meditate on kindness and understanding, like the intention for it, And then because there's like a yin and yang to understanding, it's like we could intend to understand, and then we could see and process the understanding of the other people and the other forms and whatnot. So before chapter 2 is kindness and attempting to understand for the sake of professionalism in the work environment, or not. And even in management, they're hypocritical to policies. So that's the thing. That's why the quote unquote surveillance is there, because things are just like you can't trust people, And for me to originally say that and someone try to use my own shit against me, that's the nature of some type of manipulation. But kindness and understanding though, right? So still like be kind, but don't be stupid, right? Be kind, but don't be foolish, right? Like we're giving you a chance. Like the universe is giving you a chance. And you're not going to lie when you fuck up to the universe. You're not going to lie to that shit. So chapter 2, your personal profile, analyzing your strengths and weaknesses. Your best judgments, successes, consider all your successes. What do they have in common? Your worst judgments, failures, your maximum vulnerability, a lot of questions, skills you need, your strength, Achilles heel. Why do you win? Why do you lose? Strengths, desired skills. Why do you win? Why do you lose? Achilles heel, desired skills, strengths. So a lot of people's Achilles heel is their denial and their cognitive dissonance to a different existence of truth, updating reality beyond them. So there's 5 bullet points, or in italic phrase points, that are saying within chapter 2, that are repeated many times throughout chapter 2. Why do you win? Why do you lose? Achilles heel, desired skills, strengths. So why do you win? Why do you lose? Achilles heel, desired skill, strengths. We got over the collective Achilles heel. Why do you lose? Lack of understanding, lack of resonance, lack of maturity. Why do you win? What are we winning? God's giving us a chance to live life from baby to quote unquote death or God. God's game, right? Desired skills. What skills do you want to learn, right? What's like, regardless of the excuses, like you still want to learn. Maybe you want to learn how to get in shape or something. You have to follow up and make time for that. And then the strengths. Okay, let's work and, you know, other stuff. It's like there's other things that have to be taken care of in life, right? So this book, I feel like it's a collective of testimonies that are just saying, why do you win? Why do you lose? Achilles heel, desired strengths, desired skills and strengths, and your personal profile and how those bullet point questions fare with others. All of the, and learning people's successes. Surveying these profiles reveals that no one particular strength is more important than another in achieving success. All of these successes know that dealing with business problems is dealing with people. All these successful people believe in themselves. Their belief is never total and never arrogant. Only people who have the strength to accept responsibility for their failures have the courage to succeed. These successful people define the problem clearly and allow it to motivate others. They do not blame. So I just read the end of chapter 2. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Jeez. So I'm reading the ending of chapter 2, but next episode I will cover chapter 2. So this was kind of this was informative in the first style, and then it transitioned to quote unquote new academic, like end quote, or attempted, right? But more intuitive and raw. Successful people know how to inspire others. They know how to make their point, to get to the bottom of a problem, present their view clearly, and help people work together. These skills depend on caring for people, regarding their feelings and point of view as valid, taking them seriously, and treating them with dignity and fairness. Understanding people gives you real power, because it is only through understanding and meeting the needs of others that you build loyalty. You have the best life ever.